You ever realize someone never really loved you? They just loved the fact that you did? That was her. She didn't choose me. She chose the version of me that was quiet, obedient, always available. The one who didn't ask for much. The one who kept bleeding and still called it love. She said, "I'd never hurt you." But she never said she'd protect me either. That's the part I missed. Because it wasn't the lies that broke me. It was the truth behind her silence. She didn't need to cheat. She didn't need to scream. She just had to slowly fade until I started questioning my worth every single day. One unanswered text at a time, one cold stare, one forced smile. She didn't betray me in a dramatic explosion. She did it in whispers, in slow withdrawals, in those empty hugs that felt like apologies for something unspoken. I used to lie awake wondering what I did wrong. Turns out, I just kept loving her longer than she deserved. And still, I stayed. Because I thought love was supposed to be hard. I thought struggle made it meaningful. But the truth is, she wasn't complicated. She was just never fully in. She loved me when it was easy, when I was soft, when I had no boundaries. The second I spoke up, the second I said, "This is hurting me," she said I'd changed, but I didn't change. I just stopped pretending I was okay. That's when it hit me. She didn't want love. She wanted control. She didn't leave because I failed. She left because I healed. I started to see clearly. I stopped ignoring the red flags. I stopped romanticizing her coldness. And in that clarity, I found my freedom. She didn't open the door for me to walk away. She slammed it and locked herself on the other side. And for the first time, I didn't chase it. I didn't beg for closure. I didn't draft long texts trying to explain my pain. I just went quiet. Because sometimes silence is the only language toxic people understand. I realized I was loyal to someone who was never real. She played the role. She wore the mask. She said the right words. But the love wasn't rooted in truth. It was built on how useful I was to her. I was a safe place, a therapist, an emotional sponge, but not a partner. And once I woke up to that, once I looked in the mirror and asked, "What happened to you?" I knew something had to die. Not my heart, but the version of me that allowed this to happen, the soft version, the people pleaser. The man who waited around for someone to choose him, he's gone. And what's left? A storm. You see, she didn't break me. She transformed me. Every cold moment she gave me, I used it to build armor. Every time she looked at me like I wasn't enough, I turned that pain into purpose. She made me question my worth, and now I never question it again. That's the irony. The same love that broke me also built me, but not into the man she once loved. No, into the man she could never manipulate again. Into the man who doesn't get silenced, who doesn't apologize for needing peace, who walks away with no explanation, because real strength doesn't announce itself. It just exits. And now, she'll remember me, not for the love I gave her, but for the silence I left behind. She'll remember the man who would have died for her, but chose to live without her. She'll scroll past my name and feel the absence, not because I was cruel, but because I was real, and real is rare. You see, people like her, they never change. They just move on to the next source, the next person to drain, the next soul to confuse. But me, I don't move on the same. I evolve, I upgrade, I rise, because once your eyes are opened, you can never unsee the truth again. And now I don't chase people. I don't convince anyone to love me, because love that has to be begged for is just emotional slavery. She didn't break my heart. She opened my eyes. And now that I can see, I walk differently. I speak differently. I trust differently. Not because I'm bitter, but because I'm finally awake. She created something powerful by trying to break something pure. And that was her biggest mistake. You know what no one tells you, that the worst kind of heartbreak doesn't come from losing someone you loved. It comes from losing yourself while trying to love someone who never cared. She didn't want my soul. She wanted my silence. And for a while I gave her both. But something changed, not in her, in me. I stopped seeing her as a dream and started seeing her as a mirror, a reflection of every time I stayed quiet when I should have screamed, every moment I forgave her when she didn't even say sorry. Every night I stared at my ceiling, trying to make sense of her chaos, and that's when the shift happened. I stopped waiting, stopped blaming myself, stopped looking at her like she was a flame, and realized she was smoke, an illusion. She wasn't magic. She was just the lesson I refused to learn the first time. I used to write poetry about her. Now, I write warnings. Because people like her, they teach you the cost of loving without limits. They teach you the danger of loving someone more than you love your peace. And once I understood that, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need closure. I just needed distance. I stopped replaying the what-ifs, stopped justifying her behavior, because love doesn't require proof. But real love, it doesn't require pain either. I had to fall apart to realize I was whole without her. She didn't destroy me. She introduced me to the version of me I had buried beneath all that tolerance. And now, that version doesn't beg, doesn't shrink, doesn't explain. He walks with his head high and his eyes wide open. You know what the real tragedy was? Not that she left, not that she hurt me, but that I spent so long blaming myself for the way she treated me. That's the twisted part of loving the wrong person. You start apologizing for things they did. You overthink. You replay every word. You wonder if being too emotional is why they pulled away, when all you ever gave them was the most honest version of yourself. She didn't run because I was too much. She ran because she couldn't match the depth. I wasn't intense, I was genuine. But in a world full of masks, genuine feels threatening. I used to miss her. Now I miss the man I used to be before she got inside my head. But that's the beauty of betrayal. It burns the lies, and when the smoke clears, you see everything, every ignored instinct, every moment you should have walked away but stayed, every boundary you let her cross with a smile, and suddenly you're not angry anymore. You're not even heartbroken. You're awake, awake to who she really was, awake to the fact that love should never make you beg for clarity, awake to the truth that the person you were becoming around her wasn't someone you even recognized. That's the moment everything shifts. The begging stops. The overthinking dies. The silence becomes power. You don't wait for closure anymore. You become the closure. Because once your eyes open, you don't go back to sleep. And now, I walk with scars, but I walk in truth. I don't seek revenge, because my peace is punishment enough. Let her wonder why I disappeared. Let her talk about how I changed, because the version of me she betrayed, he doesn't live here anymore. So if you're watching this and you've been there, if someone once made you feel like you were the problem for asking to be loved properly, remember, you didn't lose them, you found yourself. And that's not heartbreak, that's rebirth. Drop your story in the comments, or just write, "She didn't break me, she woke me up." Let the world see that the strongest people are the ones who found themselves after being forgotten.